All right. Thank you all for coming. This is a little more comfortable than the last venue, isn't it? Those of you that were here last month. I think we're gonna probably do it here every month because they have varying size rooms. So as we grow, we can go into bigger rooms. And this Don responded to my email with, "Oh, our old stomping grounds," because we used to do we had a weekly sales meeting at Miller Lane Properties, and we did it here every week. In fact, we did might have to reinstitute the money bag. Yeah, yeah. So
that would be great.
Yeah. So we would have $2,000 in a bag, bigger than this, but a bag you couldn't see through. And whoever led the team for that week or the company for that week in calls, new leads, booked appointments, appointments kept, referrals given, referrals received, all of the metrics that create opportunity for you, they would get a pull out of the money bag. And there was 200s, 450s, 2020s, and on down to 5s. And Dawn took her kids to Disneyland, right? Is that where you went? Yeah. All with money bag money. That was pretty cool. Yeah, that was cool. Hey, G.
Hi.
You got keys for your client?
Yes.
Right on.
Okay.
I know. I'm not stressed about it. Are you?
Not anymore.
All right. The cleaners aren't even going to be there for 15 more minutes. So, all right. So, just show of hands. How many is this a first meeting for you? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. The agenda is always the same. We cover a resource of the company that you might not be aware of. Today, we're going to talk about eXp Global. We cover a training topic each month. Right, this month I have a special announcement. We also do an agent attraction topic. So if you're not super familiar with eXp, Patrick, I know you know this part of the conversation, right? It's all about growing your passive income with the company. And then we wrap up the meeting with just kind of an open conversation about what the market's doing, like today, and what are some good dialogues that you might want to work on and master, because you're going to get into conversations with buyers and sellers where they're going to say what's going on in the market, right? And so if we do that in this kind of open forum, not only is everyone going to pick up a new little dialogue, but we can also perfect the dialogue, because some of you have great ideas on things that you've said. All of us should be saying things, gauging the reaction, and then trying to improve what we said if we didn't get the reaction we were seeking, right? Thank you, Don, for remembering that. All right, so eXp resource of the month. How many of you have been to expglobal.partners? She has. That's it, huh? You have? Because your wife is Asian, right? Yeah. Miguel, you've been there as well? So here's the cool thing, right? This company started in Bellingham and is now in 24 countries. Isn't that kind of crazy, right? When I joined eXp just 16 months ago, in January of 2022, I joined and I was like, I have relatives in Australia. Let's see if we're there. Yep, we're there. I have relatives in Germany. Let's see if we're there. Yep, we're there. So then I started emailing my relatives and saying, who do you know that sells real estate, right? And your relatives will respond to you, right? And they'll say, oh yeah, you should talk to so-and-so. So this is Michael Valdez. He is the Chief Growth Officer. He led Anywhere. Who knows and has heard of Anywhere? It's a company name, if you can believe that. Have you heard of that? They used to be called Realogy. You've heard of that, right? So Realogy is the parent company that owns Century 21, they own Coldwell Banker, and they own like 3 or 4 other brands. They're also the benefactor of the class action lawsuit that just got designated as a class against NAR, and Realology, and Compass is named in that. Well, he ran growth, international growth for Realology. And he was in Cabo, and he told this story about how his accountant said, "What are you even doing thinking about changing jobs? You know, you're with an established company that's paying you very, very well." And he goes, "You know what? I'm bored. And this is a chance to work basically with a startup." And the accountant thought the word startup was a negative thing, right? And he was like, "No, I think it's exciting." So he joined the company 2 years ago. At the time, we were in US and Canada only. And they hired him to get us into more countries. Do you know what his goal is? 100 countries in 10 years. Right? 100 countries in 10 years. And how far along are we? 2 years in, 24 countries and counting. The most recent additions were Poland, Dubai, Chile, Dominican Republic. I think those are probably the most recent 4. 20 more in the works. Yeah. Well, and I didn't do a great job of drawing your attention to it, but look at that button right there. Right? Scott Brown, where's your wife from?
Thailand.
Are we in Thailand yet?
We are not. And I do know developers and real estate agents.
So have you clicked that button and put your name in there? Good. Jazz, where are you from? Pakistan. Are we in Pakistan? Have you gone to this website? Okay. You're right, though. We are not in Pakistan. Go click on that button, man. Go click on that button. We are in the Philippines, I think. No, maybe not. Jump on your phone. Look.
I should mention, I met with Valdez.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to just dominate how country.
Oh, for sure.
You should all know that anybody. If you can't just go.
Well, rule number 1 is don't reach out at all. Contact Michael Valdez. Let him. No, I know. I understand. Here's what G is really pointing out. Costs the company $150,000 to just vet a country and determine if it's a candidate, right? And there's countries like China is a great example. We'd love to get into China. China has rules that say revenue can't flow out of China into the United States. Well, where does rev share fall in that, right? So what EXP did is they went into Hong Kong because they were able to do that as a stepping stone to hopefully figure out how to solve this. Steve Sharma, good to see you, man. How to solve this revenue share issue, because they want to be able to tell each of you, no matter who you sponsor, wherever they are in the world, you're going to get a piece of their transactions, their commissions, right? Not from them. Remember, it's a very important distinction. Your rev share doesn't come from the people you sponsor. It comes from the company's share of the commissions that that person generates. Does that make sense? And that's a great thing to remember, because you're going to talk to people that are going to be anti-multi-level marketing, anti-MLM. Oh, this is just another Amway, or oh, this is just another, Nutriskin, or whatever that one is, right? It's not. There's a big difference between making money off the backs of people versus making money off helping people sell houses and then getting a piece of the commissions that the company would have otherwise gotten. And remember, Glenn Sanford in our charter says, I will give back 50% of all of the income that we generate to the agents. That's what funds rev share. That's what funds the stock program. Shine. If you don't mind, create a name tag for yourself. and then pass it down so Steve can create one for himself and Dick can create one for himself. I want people to know who you are. You're a legend. You are a legend in your own mind. That's right. All right.
That was another thing.
Silver Fox. That's right. So 24 countries, over 87,000 agents now. Fastest growing brokerage in the world, fastest growing in the United States, and achieved what Keller Williams took 20 years to do, achieved it in 5. That's pretty impressive, right? Think about that. And if people tell you we're only about recruiting, point out to them that we're the highest transaction volume company in the country, right? Does anyone know what percentage of EXP agents actually recruit? 5%. So 95% of this 87,000 figure have sponsored fewer than 5 people. That's their measure for, are you trying to recruit or is it just kind of casual, accidental, right? So if we're only about recruiting, how is it possible that 95% of the agents don't recruit? And we're the highest producing company, right? I drop these little tidbits on you because you're going to get into conversations and I want you to be able to go, oh yeah, I've heard that too, but that's not true and here's why, right? So the question is not, do you know a realtor in these countries, right? It's, do you know anyone? Like Scott Brown has family in Thailand, is what you said, right? Thailand's not on the list. But, right. But these are the 24 countries we're in. So if you don't have this list, shoot a picture of it and then ask yourself, who do I know around the world? Like we've all traveled internationally at one time or another, right? There's a good chance. We're going to probably in the next couple of months roll out sort of an international growth plan. And I'm going to ask each of you individually if you're interested in participating in it. It's not economic. It's just, do you want to dedicate some of your time to doing something in this part of your business and rev share, right? And all you have to do between now and then is think about, is it worth your time? Do you know people in other parts of the world, right? Like for me, it was a no-brainer because not only do I know people, I'm related to them. I mean, some of you have heard this story probably too often, but I'll tell you, when I emailed my relatives in Australia, about 4 days later, I got 10 emails back from one of the relatives, my favorite, by the way. And they were not emails to me saying, yeah, I know a realtor. They were emails to a realtor saying, this is Ed. He's the nephew I was telling you about. You guys should talk. So she had already made a phone call to 10 different realtors and introduced the idea and me, and then connected us. Just like we were talking about earlier about referrals of buyers and sellers. Like that is the ideal, right? And that's all it took was an email. And now I'm in conversations with one of the groups that's actually been the most receptive. They have 6 offices around Australia and just under 100 agents. Wouldn't that be cool if they were all part of the Ed Laine team? That would be sweet, right? So think about that for yourself. Miguel, where are you from originally? Peru. Right? You know people in Peru, right? Peru's not on the list. Yeah. I was talking to a Rockwell student. How many of you know or met Camilla? Right? You know where she's from? Europe. You got the continent right. She's Austrian. And she joined John L. Scott. Grave mistake, right? But we'll get her back. So think about if this is an opportunity for you. Again, this is just one of the many resources that the company provides. And next month, we're going to talk about healthcare. So one of the gals that G and I met in Cabo, I asked her if she would jump on a Zoom with us from, where are they from? Yeah, yeah, what state is she out of? So anyway, she's gonna join us. Yeah.
I don't know if you know that, but apparently our coverage has gone global.
Yeah.
So we're covered anywhere in the state, in the world, really, because most coverage is here in the States, only companies within the States.
Right.
EXP's, healthcare coverage is anywhere, everywhere. So that's very big, I don't think that's gonna be announced, big launch.
Yeah,
That is-
that's
you
cool.
heard it here first.
Yeah, Margot Wickersham, yeah, who was in Cabo. I mean, I've been trying to convince my wife to go switch over, because we priced it out for ourselves. And we pay $1,400 for just my wife and I a month, and it was gonna cut it in half. And the shame of it is, she's tired of changing doctors, because when I owned my own company, we provided healthcare and we changed programs every year because the premiums went up every year. So we were constantly trying to figure out how to not get screwed. And so I cried wolf, basically, right? I did that to her too many times. Now we're with Kaiser. Kaiser's decent, right? It's basically group health, if you guys have lived in this area for a long time. But their doctors aren't on any networks. So I can't tell her, yeah, but we can change and you can keep your doctor. Kaiser's the one program that's not true. And I was like, shit. So I talked to Aaron at length. I'm like, okay, here's what we need to do. We're going to strategize. We're going to work this out.
She's so cool.
She is.
She's a real cool person.
So anyway, we'll cover healthcare in greater detail next month at the May sales meeting. That's what Aaron said. I go, do you think I didn't think of that? She's like, I don't care. I can also not change and not change at all.
And remember, Brent gave the example of having $5,200 over what he had done out in Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
and it was covered.
Yeah, yeah. Brent Gove was on stage talking about it, and he said that, which is cool, right? Like that's everyone's worry, right? What's the network of doctors, and what is the coverage any good? And Jesse Zagorski's wife had foot surgery, no out of pocket. How many of you have ever gone to the doctor and expected to not pay? Really?
Yeah, my dad.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Way to rub it in, Bailey. All right. Who wants to talk about converting leads? Excellent. How many of you from last month, when we talked about lead sources, have generated some leads? Paul, your hand should go up. Your hand should go up, right? Yeah.
What price you give us? And one of the most like, four songs like really much.
This is the website she's talking about.
Then it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, no, most of them though. Because think about it, especially so this is the lay of the spreadsheet is that second column. You see where it says referral, paid lead service, paid referral. The referral ones, which is the majority, that means there's no upfront or very little upfront cost. But if you close one, they take a percentage. So in the end, they're more expensive, but you don't have to come out of pocket. That has a lot of appeal to realtors because a lot of realtors don't have a bunch of spare money, right? A paid service like Zillow is put a budget in, and then you get the leads. You don't have to share any of the commissions when it closes, right? That's the difference. The reason you got the answer you got is the referral ones in particular, both the categories think this, but the referral ones in particular, they only want to give those to people that are going to close. And if you have no experience or very little experience, then what assurance do they have that you're going to be any good, right? You can get leads and squander them, but that company got paid first and doesn't care. It's not that they don't care, right? Like they want, Ben's gonna, hey, Adrian, how are you? Zillow loves Ben because his conversion is off the charts, right? And they want more Bens than they want Ambers necessarily, right? Until you have a track record. And I don't blame them. I do the same thing, right? I generate about 100 leads a month. I give them to people that I know can close them, right? And if you want to get those leads, you first have to demonstrate mastery of the buyer presentation or the seller presentation, depending on which one you're going after, right? And my motivation is exactly the same. I know your chances of success are way higher if you follow my systems arrogantly, right? But I've done this with hundreds of realtors. And so if you follow these steps, you're going to win more often, and that's great. And then I'll give you more leads because you're winning more often, right? I'm going to sound political here, but it's what's wrong with society, right? It should be a meritocracy. The best performer should get more of whatever, and the worst performers just need more training. Like, and in some really harsh environments, they get cut off completely. That's not how I operate, but I won't give you more leads, but I'll give you more training, and then we'll give you another lead once you finish the training. Hopefully that one goes well for you, and then you get another and another, right? But that's how these companies have to think because they're spending money to generate the leads in the first place. And if nobody makes money on them, you're going to stop paying them for their service, right? Zillow has been wonderfully successful because there's agents that pay 20 and 30 grand a month for leads, and they close enough to make double that or more in return, right? That's why Zillow also rolled out the Flex program. Their Flex program is their referral type of business because they knew there'd be more realtors open to that. Does that make sense? Can you see why a realtor might go, I don't really want to pay 5 grand a month to get leads, but I'll give you a percentage of the commissions if I close a deal. That's a lot easier, yes, to get. So enough about that. Any questions on Amber's question at the beginning, which was why did they say no to me?
And I didn't really hear the conversation, and you were showing on your spreadsheet there one that you were just talking about. Which one was that?
So you see the URL that's on the screen right now?
Yeah.
TELT lead source directory. Does everyone know what TELT stands for? Okay.
Yep.
There was a time not very long ago where somebody asked me, what does that even mean? Right? See? So Tina, write that URL down and just go to that website and then experiment with it. Like there's like 60 companies on there. Some of them are awesome. Some of them are new. We don't know yet, right? I've always had a philosophy about lead generation that is test everything, right? Try it. If it works, keep it. If it doesn't, blow it out. And yeah, I hope so. This is a good example though, Amber. He's got a bunch of experience, but they wanted somebody who's selling 15 or more deals a year in the last year. And he didn't last year. So they're like, sorry, you don't meet the criteria.
Depends on the
Yeah. Yeah.
That's discouraging, but like.
I'm-
I was trying to. I'm like.
I'm out. Yeah.
Here's $5,000.
Right. So you,
I started with Craigslist. Posting every one of our listings we have. Like, do a couple of those a month or something.
yeah. Well, and that's the, like it, launching pad, the training program that we have. I talk about lead generation. I talk about free leads. That's, that's where you get free leads. It's Craigslist. So, you know, I know Dawn has posted 100 Craigslist ads in a month before. I know Scott has done that. They generate leads off of that, and it's a numbers game. And if you want to dive into this lead directory, that's a numbers game too, right? So look at them, decide which ones you want to pursue, you know, see if you meet their criteria, and if you do, great, finish the application. And then, you know, Regentology is one that a bunch of us tried recently. The leads were shit. So they got a scorchogram from Ed Laine that said, "Give me my effing money back, you piece of trash."
They've given me money.
Did they give it back to you?
Not yet,
Yeah, non-refundable was their favorite word.
right? I'm gonna give them the, "Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
I will ruin you."
Yeah.
Right? So this is only on here because the conversation is about conversion. And I just want to remind you all that if you didn't raise your hand because you haven't generated leads, use Craigslist to generate free leads. Use this directory if you want to start figuring out if you qualify for some of the referral ones first, because those won't cost you money up front. Paid service, if you don't meet the criteria, you can do the paid services, and it doesn't have to be $5,000, right? Like if you're interested in Zillow, talk to this guy, right? And Ben's gonna chat or speak as part of this. But he can also put you in touch with the right people. And Zillow's pricing is all based on zip codes. So start with a zip code that's less expensive. I mean, you're in Shelton. That's gonna be cheap, right? Is it a safe assumption that Shelton's zip code is probably less expensive than Kirkland's? Yeah.
It is expensive.
You want to comment on a typical zip code?
Like what, can you give us an example of numbers, like how much, for how much?
Wait.
No, I guess, yeah. I just-
She's like, what, if a zip code that's inexpensive would be 900 bucks a month and a expensive zip code would be 10 grand, or
Yeah.
is that,
I spent
yeah.
cheaper than. Probably. Much money you're gonna get back. You only need to be there. You don't. Very recent. Like, rain. Almost a minute, I finished my vacation. I noticed that. Much more packed. That was the first week. Then last week, Amber flooded, so that's when I changed my vacation. And then this, well, it was days is available. That weekend. Or that. We did not get discouraged. Is not get to the percent. I'm investing. It's 2000. Yeah. Bellevue and Rent and Skyway. Generate leads, great quality leads. I've been showing to the 10 that have come to me. Offers for. Gen Zers, I love you, but catch up is, and but others are they're going on their way. So I would say the next 30 days so far is three and a half, and I will definitely.
Of the 10, how many are pre-approved or qualified?
Not one that already qualified.
Okay.
Agent, you know, late 30s on up to 50s. So you're dealing with, you know, different ranges of experience. Everyone has qualified, they sent them over to the individual and introduced me to, and so like that conversation with them, and you know, we haven't thought about this yet. It's a good idea. That apply to the Gen Z or something on the drive while I was taking them to their second condo. We were home.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple ways that you're welcome to respond.
Yeah.
Someone else will, yeah. Yeah, yeah. They're on the phone when you pick it up, yeah.
Find out how much, turnover. That, because I thought specifically there's. It's. Yeah, I mean, I. So I started saying that. And she bought in place right now. It's like.
Thank you.
Next year.
Absolutely.
That was actually. Yeah. So she got the benefit behind it.
That's right.
Same way. I get you don't lose them.
All right, let's get our focus back. Sorry to distract you with leads and sandwiches. A big thank you to Adrian Webb, who brought the food. Yeah, there's napkins, but not any plates that I saw.
Can I say one more thing about your list?
Yeah.
You don't have them on there, and I'm glad that you don't evaluate that company. No, they suck. The guy has called me repeatedly. I'm like, I think your service is expensive. I don't think I'm gonna get value out of it. I don't. He's like, we can always just get a credit card from credit card and see how it goes. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It's like a free debt.
Right.
On the off chance that it might work when you're not even telling, you're not being kind of confident.
Right. He's like, he's not saying, oh, it works. He's saying, just put it on a credit card.
Yes.
Yeah, it's you have to all be careful with any of these companies, right? So I've only signed up for year-long contracts a couple of times, and both times it was because I could talk directly to somebody that was doing a good job of converting those leads. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll try that. But other than that, I'm more of a set me up on month to month so I can see how it works. I'm also smart enough, and you guys should all keep this in the back of your mind. 6 weeks, no closings, right? So don't say I'm going to do it month to month and in 30 days kill it, right? You got to be in for at least 90, to know, even then you may not have received a commission check, but you now have a deal in escrow, or you've got 6 in the car or whatever it is. You got some data points that tell you, okay, I think I want to keep this one going and just see. Stacy.
There's a lot of fragmentation between the expired.
Yeah.
A lot of us here are brand new. Our first time home buyers, we notice that we're first time.
Yeah.
We have a way to say, you know what, if I back to you on that, have the right answer, there's a lot that you know. And I think that also, sometimes, you know, we ask for the answer, engaged. And some of these, well, I don't know, actually get more information on that system, but I think get this call back to age and those things that you don't have.
You drive them to your lender as a benefit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of like this. I talk about the art and the science, right? You should have, and this, we'll probably cover this in May, is, okay, we covered how to generate leads, how to convert them. Now, how do you serve them? That would be May, most likely. But you have to read the room and go, okay, is this somebody that I better police more closely because they aren't doing what I'm asking them to do? Or maybe I do the takeaway close and go, you know what? We're not going to go look at more houses until you talk to Adrian or until you talk to my preferred lender. I've done that before, and you know, you run the risk of them going, well, I'm going to call the next guy who will show me houses. Great, let him waste his time. Or,
Budget. Here, go to the list. Almost every week.
yeah,
And for leads, and they're all getting the same leads a lot of times. The open house at Christmas. Rooster. Two appointments, and now I have a new lot already to go look at home, so. half a mile from my house, I spent 2 hours in an open house, I have 3 new buyer leads, and one that I have. I'm just saying, the free stuff is best in this year. And if you're gonna do a campaign, do it for 6 months, because if you support a 6-month campaign and you get one deal out of it, that pays back 2 to 3 times what your budget was, then it makes it. I mean, I'm wasting money too.
Right.
They wanna help you out, and they need a house.
4 or 5 people though, common sense, like. 4 or 5 deal about it. Or it could be
To source out of your sphere?
to close those.
Well, there's a reason the average agent sells 3.9 homes a year. But it ain't a lack of, you know, speed to close. It's a lack of effort. I mean, plain and simple. So no, it won't take you a year to close 5 deals. If you work one at a time, which is what they do, then you will only have time to close 5 deals. But all of you,
Organized plan.
yeah. That's why it's at the beginning of the training program is get your KV core set up, get your sphere of influence into your KV core, and then call them and talk to them and qualify them, right? And we actually run a script called the mayor campaign. So I know. And then your first sale. I'm not gonna answer that. Like, and because it's low. But how long you been licensed, brother? How many deals have you closed? Right? Yeah, I mean, I can tell you I capped in January. Does that make you feel better that you can make money in this industry? Like, this is about building fundamental skills in each one of you. And Steve, you're chasing 5 to 10 deals. Chase your first deal, brother. Right? And the best audience is what G just said, because when you do the mayor campaign and you talk to people, you're going to explain that you got your real estate license and you're going to ask them, hey, let me ask you, if you had a friend or a family member needed to buy or sell real estate, do you have someone you'd refer them to? And you watch how many of them go, Stilly, it's you. Now that I know that you have a real estate license, it's absolutely you, right? But that's how you get to be top of mind in them. When a month from now, someone at their job says, I'm getting married, I'm getting divorced, my father died, whatever life event triggers a real estate transaction, they're going to overhear that or run into somebody that needs a service. And they're going to go, oh, you should call Steve Sharma. He's a rock star. And they're going to remember you. So today is about lead gen and conversion. Referrals out of your sphere is longevity in this industry, right? We're covering lead gen and conversion because that can be a quicker dollar in your pocket, right? Like Stacy said earlier, the minute she finished her application, her phone rang. So, right? So let's talk about the when that phone rings. God damn it. Answer it, right? So remember, leads are people, right? And they hit a website somewhere. And somehow it funneled to you, whether it's because you're a Zillow person or because you signed up with Revaluate or one of these other 60 lead sources, or you created a landing page like we did this morning for Scott, right? What do they want? Well, if they're a buyer, they want houses, right? So give them what they want. That's why, how many times have you driven around and seen a bandit sign? You know, those little corrugated plastic signs that says free list of homes. That's why that works, because people are like, ooh, I'm gonna call that number. I want a free list of homes. Well, your buyer landing page is a search engine that is connected to the MLS's IDX feed, Internet Data Exchange, IDX. That's what pipes all of the homes into your phones and into your websites, right? What did that person that just opted in and hit your phone, what have they been doing for the last 20 minutes? Looking at houses, maybe, right? What else? They probably have been to 10 to 20 websites, right? Yours is not the only one. So remember that, because when your phone vibrates, you want to be thinking 20 other phones have just vibrated, right? Hopefully mine is one of the first sites they hit, but statistically talking, it's probably not, is it? I'm probably in the middle of the pack. That's why speed to lead matters, right? I actually literally, when I was getting ready for today's meeting, I saw on a website, a coach said, following up in the first 24 hours is critical. Dude, that lead is already, I'm already opening a door somewhere for that lead, or they're already talking to Adrian, probably more accurately, right? Because I'm calling within 5 minutes. Any idea why? We do the swarm, 10 attempts in 48 hours. Yep. Call within 5 minutes, text immediately, call 45 minutes later, text when you hang up, then send email number 1. Day 2, call again, but at a different time of day. New KV core lead just sent you a message. Was that one of you? All right, call number 4, text number 4, email number 2. I'm gonna send you guys the scripts for all of these, and you can just use those. Ben probably has different scripts that he uses. Use what works, right? The ones I use, I've been using for 15 years and they work, right? Call number 1 goes like this. Let's say I call, ring, ring, straight to voicemail. What does that mean? It means they hit the red button, right? They saw my number, they didn't recognize it, they hit end. I call right back immediately. Now what are they thinking? Either it's important or it must be somebody I know because they're not in my phone, but who would do that, right? If I get voicemail after calling once, calling back immediately, if I get voicemail, the voicemail message sounds like this. Hey, Stacy, it's Ed. Give me a call back. You're hoping they know more than one Ed. People like Kumi, it's a little harder for them to accidentally call you thinking you're someone else, right? Because there's only one Kumi. But that's the idea, right? Is I'm going to leave a message. I don't identify myself other than by my name, and they're left trying to recognize my voice. You will get callbacks from those voicemails about 30% of the time, 28% of the time, actually. That's pretty damn good, right? Wouldn't you agree, Ben? If you leave a voicemail and they actually call you back, the other 2/3 or 75% practically, they don't call you back, right? They're just like, Ed, who the hell's that? Delete, right? That's why 45 minutes later, we call again. In the second voicemail, if I get voicemail, and I do if I get hung up on or put straight through to voicemail, call right back, I do that every time, right? If I call you and you don't pick up, I'm calling you again. Because the statistical probability is that you will pick up on the second call. The second voicemail is, hey, Stacy, this is Ed. you inquired about getting a free list of homes or whatever the website is, right? Because by the time I'm calling them, I know what website they opted in on, right? Like this text I just got, it's going to tell me when I look at it what site they came out. If it's edsmovingconcierge.com, I got a different short little voicemail for that, right? Hey, Stacy, this is Ed. It sounded like you might be interested in our moving concierge program. Happy to tell you all about that. No cost or obligation. Please give me a call back. No cost or obligation is really important because you don't want them to go, oh shit, what's this going to cost me, right? Information and education should be free, but it also is what will prompt people to pick up the phone or email back or whatever medium you're operating in. They'll respond because they want the information, right? Again, if that's a voicemail that I have to leave, another text, but now the next text is also more informative than the first one, which was simply, hey, Stacy, I'm using you because you're looking at me. Hey, Stacy, it's Ed, give me a call back, right? So the next message is, hey, Stacy, I'm trying to give you that list of homes that you were asking for. When's a good time for us to talk? Right? And I'm making all of this sound benefit rich to the recipient because I don't want to just fill up your inbox with homes that don't meet your criteria if you're a buyer, right? So let's have a 5-minute conversation. This will be easy, it'll be quick, and then you can get what you need. Make sense? And then the emails at the end of each day can be more elaborative, right? Where I'm elaborating on, hey, you hit this website. Sometimes you got to remind people, right? Hey, you're the one that reached out to me, right? But remember, because they may have opted in on 10 or 20 websites, they're going to be like, God, my phone is blowing up, right? So you want to kill them with kindness and free education and information to stand out from the other 19 agents that are just saying, hey, I got that information you were looking for, or whatever it is their script says. Does that make sense to everybody? And it's not super complicated, right? The key is how quickly you're going to respond to it. And I think it skipped a screen, so let me go back.
Ed, Ed, it mentions that you're texting twice. Are you texting twice right in a row?
No, the texts are after the voicemail. The only thing that is twice in a row is if I call and I get voicemail, I hang up and I call right back.
Okay, because it looks like it says text immediately.
That's
Okay.
after I've left you a voicemail, I'm texting immediately.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
Hey, Tina, just left you a voicemail. Thought text might be easier. The studies actually say that 97% of consumers respond to text. 97% of consumers respond to text. Remember what I said about phone, 28%. My ISA department, does everyone know what an ISA is? Inside sales. So inside sales, when any of you get big enough that you run a team or you generate enough leads that you need help responding to the leads, inside sales is that role, right? Adrian remembers, we remember Ring Supreme, right? We actually jointly started a company that did contract inside sales for realtors all over the country. And I think we both would admit it was an abject failure, right? Yeah. But the reason was agents aren't great at responding to leads, but you can be and should be. Like one of the things I've said a lot is if I could snap my fingers and give each of you one set of skills with just the snap of my fingers, it would be the inside sales skills, not the outside sales, which is what you're all planning to do or already doing, right? Meeting with buyers and sellers, that's outside sales. Responding to leads, that's inside sales. It's more like a telemarketing position. But the fortunes are in the follow-up, and that's inside sales, right? If I get, we were just on a Zoom yesterday, and Lonnie Fisher said, there's a really good agent down in Tacoma who's part of the agent collective. She said, just got a client pre-approved after 371 contacts. She'd been following up for years. Unfortunately, that's probably the record breaker for her, and it would break my record for sure. I went 3.5 years on one client. That's my longest.
How long?
3.5 years. But think about it, right? You're going to generate a bunch of business. It could be referrals, it could be leads, but all of them are expressing an interest in buying or selling a house. Do you know how many days the average seller goes from idea to sign in the yard? You know, when they first talking to my wife going, you know what, maybe it's time for us to downsize. From that first conversation to sign in the yard, any idea how long that time frame is on average?
412.
422 days. Over a year. And for buyers, it's 10 months. It's like 340 days. So think about it, right? The internet's at our fingertips at all times, right? So if I get a wild hair and think, you know what? I think I'm going to buy a ski cabin or a beachfront condo or whatever, I can start dreaming and looking immediately. And there's a chance that one of your phones is going to buzz and I'm going to be surprised when you call me. And I'm going to be like, no, I was just looking. That's fine. Are you thinking about making a move in the next little while? Right? That's the first question of the universal callback script. So the key is speed to lead, right? So here's some speed to lead. Here's some pro tips, right? I already mentioned this one a couple times. Call if you get voicemail, hang up, call right back. And you'll be surprised how many people pick up on that second one because they're like, damn, I thought it must be important, right? If they're, bless you, if they're unresponsive after 10 contacts in 48 hours, just send Kumi question mark or Stacy question mark, right? If you ever get Steve question mark, and your first thought is, who the F is this, right? So people will respond to that and go, yeah, who is this? Or whatever, right? Well, now you know that their phone is in their hand. You can call them immediately. I wouldn't recommend that. I'd text, right? Once somebody engages over a medium, stick with that medium, right? And text is the easiest. This is why it's 97%, because they know they can regulate the conversation and they can keep you at arm's length. That's why we all text a lot, probably too much, right? When you're leaving voicemails for people, you're going to have this sort of gradually escalating tone. And I don't mean escalating to anger. I just mean you're starting with minimal information, you're adding information, you're gradually getting more and more info into their ear, right? And if they're still unresponsive, you can say, you know what? I don't know if you noticed, but I am really good at follow-up. And I'm just going to keep following up until you either tell me to stop or we connect so I can give you what you asked me for, right? Don't be shy about reminding them that all of these messages were kicked off because they wanted information from you. You're just trying to get it to them, right? With that last voicemail, then drop a drip sequence on them in KV Core. We actually covered that this morning in success hours. You guys all have access, or if you're new, you're going to get access to KV Core. There are, what do we see, 27 drip sequences built into it, and you can easily activate them into your database. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea. In fact, I was thinking about this yesterday, you know, to have that chapter in our binder should also include ongoing training because KV Core continually rolls out updates and new systems and trainings, and they have a really thorough and comprehensive training built into the software. Everyone knows what I mean when I say KV Core, right? Except for maybe Patrick and Miguel. It's just a CRM, right? You know what a CRM is, right? So we get one of the most robust CRMs in the real estate industry. There's hundreds of them in real estate. We get one of the best ones for free. I mean, it's awesome.
Isn't it like?
Yeah, between 400 and 500. Yeah, if you left EXP and wanted to just get it because you liked it, you'd have to pay $500 a month to get it, and we get it for free. So
Isn't that, training is-
not, I don't know that it does. It's connected to the MLS. Yeah. KV Core, so HomeSpotter, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, HomeSpotter is an app that has sort of a CRM to it, which means you can put contacts into it and you can set up searches for clients and that sort of thing. HomeSpotter would love for you to use them exclusively. KV Core actually rolled out an app for you specifically so that people can search homes on your app. I'd have to open up KV Core and show you where to find it, but I will. Yeah, I'm not going to do it now because we're on a different topic, but yeah. And it's kind of cool because it has a QR code and you can just send that to your clients and say, hey, if you want to search for homes, try this. Right.
But I will say, if you are showing and stuff, I would suggest you can launch the MLS tools. But you need to be active as a
Yeah.
You're showing a house, and down the street, and then you're meeting with your clients, so.
Yeah.
It's really helpful.
I use HomeSpotter when I'm driving through a neighborhood and I'm going to meet with a seller, let's say. And if I've done a CMA and I'm worried maybe I missed something, you can open HomeSpotter and it'll show you on a map any houses that are for sale in that area. Or if like there's a listing I lost and I was driving by it yesterday and I pulled up HomeSpotter because the sign was gone and it's still active. And I'm like, God, you guys made a bad decision choosing your realtor, but it happens, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interactive. I suggest it. It's really helpful.
So the calls and the texts and the emails and that swarm sequence is the science of following up with leads. Now we're going to talk about the art, right? So when you're following up with leads, you're going to get feedback along the way, right? Like if I make a phone call to a lead and it rings 7 times and then goes into voicemail, what do I know? They're not attending to their phone or they're not near their phone, right? But if I call and it doesn't ring at all and goes straight into voicemail, what do I know? That their phone is on do not disturb. What if it rings once and goes into voicemail? Then I know they hit the end button, right? So that's what I mean. You get these little data points as you go, and that is going to drive your behavior. Like if it doesn't ring at all, goes straight into voicemail, should I call right back a second time? No, it'd be a waste, right? If you're not sure, then call. And if it goes straight in again, then you'll know, right? But that's what I mean, how it kind of starts to become nuanced because you want to do everything possible to connect with people, right? The only way you can get somebody to choose you to work with you is if you get in touch with them, right? You're not going to do that via email. So you're going to have decisions that you have to make, right? Do you use charm in your voicemail? Or do you pivot to urgency? You know, like we were talking with Scott this morning about creating a specific property website. Well, you can use urgency for that. Hey, I don't know if you're still interested, but we're supposed to be getting an offer in on this house. Call me back, right? That's how you sprinkle urgency on a prospective buyer. Or with a seller, I have a buyer they want to write an offer on a different house, but I really think they'd like yours. That'll sprinkle urgency, right? That's what I mean is you're getting nuanced because you're trying to figure out how to get through to people. Does that make sense? Do you use sweet tones or do you remind them that they're the ones that reached out to you? You don't have to use profanity, right? But you can say, hey man, I'm just trying to be helpful. And I don't know if you remember, but you came in through my website that offered you X. I'm just trying to deliver X. Can you please give me a call or a text? Right? That will cause people to call or text because they're like, shoot, this is my fault. Right? Do you make an offer or do you do the takeaway? Right? You guys have all heard me talk about the takeaway close. It works. Right? So that's nuanced though, right? Hey, I can sweeten my offer to somebody, or I can take away the offer that I've already made, depending on how I'm kind of reading the tea leaves. Make sense? All right. So here's why speed to lead is so fast. You guys have all heard of MIT, right? Those nerds are smart. You didn't get in? So MIT did, what'd you say? Not surprisingly, or? Tina, I missed the great idea comment, sorry. All right, so MIT did a study called the Lead Response Management Study. Let me move Tina out of the way. And their mission was to determine if you're gonna work in internet leads, how fast do you need to respond in order to have the best opportunity to convert a lead to a customer, right? Seconds would be really good, yeah, yeah. You're stealing my slide deck. You want to hear it? No, actually, they didn't say seconds, but they did say 5 minutes. And when they did this study, you had guys like that earlier slide who would say, you know, responding in the first 24 hours is really critical. Loser. Like he is going to lose every time because 60 other people are going to call that lead before the 24 hours is even up, right? 5 minutes is fast, right? That is why the inside sales role was created. Like I remember the day we hired our first one, it was 2007. And it was because if I'm in a meeting like this, or if I'm sitting with a seller giving a listing presentation or whatever, and all of a sudden a lead comes in, I'm screwed because I can't say, hey, no disrespect, I just have to make a quick call, right? So we hired inside salespeople and we hired enough of them so that we could have 7-day-a-week coverage. Because leads come in on the weekends, right? It's not a 9-to-5 gig. So I'm telling you all this because as the Stacys both figured out, those are live transfers. You want to take those even if you have to pull your car over, even if you're boarding a plane, right? You take them, right? And then hopefully you're able to, it didn't work with this lady, but hopefully you're able to say, that's a great idea, but I'm in San Francisco. Can we do it tomorrow? And in her case, she said no. So Stacy showed her when she landed. But speed to lead means they opt in, you call immediately. If you don't have the ability to do that, hire an inside sales or team up with somebody, or just simply recognize that your probability of success is going down, right? And MIT actually in the same study found that even if you just waited 30 minutes, you were 21 times less likely to convert that lead to a customer. this is a benefit that we promote in our listing presentation because we do have inside sales. And you guys can all say that with conviction because I have inside sales. So our team has inside sales, right? My inside sales is actually in Belarus because you can outsource inside sales offshore. Have you ever done that? It's all via text. So their accent is perfect, right? We'll talk more about that. But in this conversation, it's you, right? Because you're generating a lead. And recognize that if you're in a meeting and a lead came in, you'd better just call them immediately the moment you walk out, right? Because time is ticking. Does that make sense? I mean, we're not splitting the atom here, but we know if they opted in on 20 websites, if I call them first, I got the best shot at converting them, right?
So Ed, quick question, if you're buying leads and you're not getting them right away, and you're getting them 20 minutes later, because I was having that problem, how do you know that you're getting them right away when they come in?
Well, you have to, with each of these lead sources, you have to test by asking, right? When I call a lead, if it's a brand new lead source, I'll say, by the way, when did you opt in on that website? How long ago? Because I want to see if I'm getting that lead as quickly as I would like, right?
Okay.
And if I'm not, that's problematic.
Mhm.
Like I'll pay closer attention to the conversion if I know that that person opted in 20 minutes ago and it took that long for me to get it, and then I couldn't convert them, I'm going to cancel that service. Because if they're that slow, that's going to impede my ability to make money, right? That's why Zillow created this live transfer. They didn't always have live transfers, but then they figured out that agents weren't calling fast enough. So they created their own inside sales. That's basically, they call it concierge, I think, right? But it's their own inside sales who then transfer the call to Stacy or Ben or whomever, right? Inside sales took our business from $1 million in revenue to $4 million in revenue. That one role. Now we had more than one of them, but that was a huge difference maker because our conversion went way up and the incubation goes way up, right? Because inside sales, or you performing inside sales, will include making calls to old leads or making periodic calls to leads that say, yeah, I definitely am interested in talking to you, but I'm not going to do it till next year because my wife is pregnant or whatever, right? Well, you're going to hear from me every quarter. You're going to hear from me whatever frequency makes sense. I will also tell you another pro tip is when you talk to somebody and agree to talk to them in another period of time frame, call me in 3 weeks, cut it in half. Whatever time frame you agree to with them, cut it in half. Because their mind is going to turn back to real estate sooner than whatever time frame they just gave you. So that means if it's call me next year, I'm going to call you in 6 months. If it's call me in 90 days, I'm going to call you in 45, that kind of thing, right? And they're not going to, when you call them in 45, they're going to go, I told you to call in 90 days. They're going to go, hi, Ed, what's up? Hey, just checking in. Have your plans changed at all? Funny you should call because we want to move by May now instead of September or whatever, right? So that's why having KV Core combined with this posture is really what we're talking about. This inside sales posture is forward leaning and jumping on leads when they engage or when they opt in, right? And then put all the notes into KV Core and then mark it for your next phone call. So let's talk about that just for a minute. When I talk to a lead, I've got KV Core up unless I'm in the car and I'm calling in less than 5 minutes because I just got a lead. I'm going to call from the car. I have KV Core as an app on my phone, so I'll put notes in there after I make the call. But if I'm on my laptop, I call through KV Core because KV Core will record the call. That allows me to listen to that recording before I call them in 45 days. Let's say that's the next contact, because I want to re-listen to what we discussed last time. So I can go, yeah, remember you told me to call back because you were heading to Europe. I might not remember that in 45 days. KV Core makes up for my inadequacies, right? Then what I do is in KV Core, there's a button for next contact. I set the next contact for the day that I'm intending to make that call at 8 a.m. And the reason I do that is you can link KV Core to your Google Calendar. And by making it 8 a.m., when I wake up every morning, all my calls are at 8 a.m. That's my list of calls for today, right? And I don't have to make them at 8 a.m. They just show up at the top of my calendar. So I know, okay, yeah, I got 4 today. I'm going to figure out when to make those 4. Or I got 8. Oh God, I better start now, right? So that's just a little trick. It's easy enough to do. You just schedule it through KV Core. It'll populate your Google Calendar. You don't even have to go to the calendar. Does that make sense to everybody? That's why having a good CRM and having your CRM communicate with your calendar is a huge benefit. This was, you've heard Scott mention V4 a couple of times. That's the CRM we built. And it was a nightmare to try and plug in future calls.
Never.
Yeah, it never really worked. And was
KV Core will even tell you.
Yeah.
You can opt in to get notifications. Get notified. KV Core will give you that. And when you look at them, it's like,
exactly. All right. Let's keep going. Remember, the fortunes are in the follow-up. So you guys have all already heard from our conversion ninja, Mr. Ben Frederick. Top 10 in the area, right? For 12 years? I understated it.
do they still do the ranking? Where do you rank all the other? While the city here stays just got a call.
Oh, I know. I figured that's why you got up and left. Did you book an appointment? Boom. Pull from the money bag. So I asked Ben because he's had so much success with converting Zillow leads, and Zillow leads are kind of an avatar for all these lead sources. They're all succeeding at varying degrees. Zillow has succeeded the most, and they've tweaked their system along the way, like we just talked about the concierge. So I'd love to hear you kind of your take on conversion. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yep. New lead. Mhm. But the ISA is already texting that one. That's why you guys don't see me go, excuse me, I got it. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's electric dance music. Yeah. Oh, south of Lake Sammamish there.
Right.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. That's awesome. That paid for the red wine that you were drinking that day. That's special. Got that gate. That's cool. So the key lesson there is the follow-up, right? He's making calls every Thursday and Friday. Remember I said the fortune's in the follow-up. And that's because of this 422-day reference, right? You might get somebody to opt in on day one. Well, you better have a method of staying in touch and a time in your calendar where you make these calls. Or they might opt in on day 420, which is when he happened to make the phone call to that lady. So that's really critical. Special announcement is simply Launching Pad version 3.0 is going to kick off in 2 weeks.
What is, you say that again?
The Launching Pad training that you've already been through is going to restart. I'm going to do it a couple times a year. So this is just,
With you,
Mhm.
like,
Well, I'm going to have people watch the video and then we're going to meet live to cover the takeaways and the homework every week for 12 weeks. What's that? What time? I haven't yet. That's why this is kind of vague. It just says email me if you're interested. And I'll be open to trying to figure out a time that works best for everybody. I can tell you right now, it's probably in the afternoons, because my mornings are chewed up with success hours. But, so that's anybody that has either not been through it already or would like to go through it again, you're welcome to just shoot me an email and then I'll set up an email group and we'll communicate that way. Make sense?
so it starts on the 18th, that's in person, start on the 18th,
Yes.
or you don't have it?
No, it'll depend on how many people are doing it. All right. Any,
That's a very special day.
is that your birthday? Really?
60 years.
Damn. You look great. You're like a fossil. All right. Let's talk about agent attraction. So show of hands, how many of you would like to receive mailbox money? Passive income? I can tell you, I've only been here for a little over a year and I'm already getting about $1,500 a month in mailbox money. Jesse Zagorski, my sponsor, has a 4-year head start on me. So he's now in year 5. He's getting 60 grand a month. Vincent gets 100 grand.
And I've never sold anything.
No, he gets 180 grand a year. So 15 grand a month. He has about, what was it, 500 or 600 in his downline.
Around 1,000.
Yeah, that's right. It was 1,000. Michelle Wilson was 500 and something. So this is a guy that has never sold a house. He owned an auto body shop And Brent Gove said, you need to take a look at this. And so he did, and he said, how can I get involved? And Brent said, get a license. And and Brent told this story in Cabo. He's like, then Vincent said, I asked Brent, you know, am I gonna have to sell houses? And Brent, what did you say? I said, I hope to hell not, because he didn't want him to sell houses. He just wanted him to focus on building rev share. And he did. He has over 1,000 people in his rev share. So,
He's cool.
yeah, Vincent
He doesn't recruit, he attracts.
Vincent St. Louis is his name,
He's cool.
and he's out of Sacramento. So Cabo. So that's Brent Gove. He has 20,000 people in his downline. He makes $1 million a month in passive income.
I think-
Adrian, this is why I moved my license to EXP. Right? Yeah, dance. Yeah, he's a good dude. So this is the Hyatt Ziva in Cabo. Oh, this is the first night dinner, which is where the photo with G and I with Brent was taken. One big fire is Brent's branding for his agent attraction efforts, and they had these balls, like you can see there's a little one over there. There was like 8 of them in the fountain at this big resort. And they projected it on the building. You see, yeah, sunset. So let me, 1,000 agents in Cabo. That's Brent on the left, Dean Frederick on the right. Look how many people there are. So those are the number 2 and number 3 largest recruiters in the whole company. Rob Flick, who's number 1, was also there. Did you notice? So when someone would come up on stage, they'd put this thing on the screen behind them that would show how long they've been with EXP, how many people are in their organization, and their name. If you study the rev share model, in order to receive revenue from all the way into your 7th level, you have to have 40 frontline qualifying agents. That means 40 people that have sold a house in the last 6 months. Rob Flick, who has 20,000 people in his 7 levels, only had 23 FLQAs. That means that he's not getting any revenue from his 6th and 7th level. He is probably losing between $300,000 and $400,000 a month because of that. Let that sink in for a minute, right? Right. So this is actually a great segue. Guess what Rob Flick's doing? Like he's making $500,000 a year passive income. He doesn't have to lift a finger ever again, but you know what he's doing? He said, in Cabo, I took my wealth chart and I turned it over and I'm starting again. He wants to build a second 20,000 person downline. So what does that tell all you guys, right? Because I run into people and they ask me, yeah, but aren't I too late? If the most successful guy that's ever done it is going to do it again, does that tell you something about whether or not you're too late, right? So remember that. The other story I heard, actually yesterday, the guy who is president of EXP North America, so he's salaried dude, right? David Connard is his name.
They-
Connord. Yeah, he's quitting. Yeah. You know why he's quitting? Because he wants to grow revenue share. And he can't as the president. So he's sitting at the top of the organization going, damn, all these people like Brent Gove and Rob Flick and Gene Frederick are making all this money. And I'm just getting this little $250,000 salary, annual salary, right? So he's like, you know what? Glenn Sanford is the CEO. He's like, Glenn, I'm quitting. But I'm not leaving EXP. I want to recruit.
He's
So
really cool.
he is. Accidentally bullied him. She
Then, right, Monica comes over and says,
Gee, she's how to win friends and influence people by G. Elizalde. Start by bullying them. So any of you that did not go to Cabo, you also have access to this website that's on the screen. So just write down cabo23.com/resources. Every slide deck that was presented in Cabo, and it was 3 days of presenters, is in that website and you can download it. So do that. And you'll also see videos. So like if you have somebody you're a fan of and they happen to be a speaker there, you can go watch it. Brent Gove's YouTube channel also will have the individual videos as well. This morning? Oh yeah. So anybody ever heard of Michelle Wilson? Adrian, have you heard of Michelle Wilson? So Michelle Wilson was the sales manager for Century 21 in Kirkland with Chad Story,
Oh, yes.
right? You know Chad. So Chad has been in the industry for a while. He came from tech. He's infamous for just being a jerk. But Michelle was the one that ran his ISA team and sort of managed all the agents that got the leads. They had built a model similar to what we had. And she went to EXP like 3 years ago, and she already has over 500 people in her organization. Well, she was on the stage in Cabo and she said, we do this thing called Breakfast Club. It's scripts, 100% role playing on scripts, 5 days a week at 7:30 in the morning. And any of you are welcome to join it. So you can hop on there and listen. You can even raise your hand and say, hey, I want to do the Zillow lead script, or I want to do the seller lead script, or I want to do the whatever script. And they tend to focus on Tom Ferry scripts, if you're familiar with that. He's one of the most popular coaches in real estate. So they're scripts that work. You can use them for expireds, cancels, whatever. Right. She was. So, Stacy, you're texting me. Do I need to look at it now? Oh, yeah. All right. So Michelle Wilson, if you go on Instagram, it's Michelle Wilson EXP is her handle on Instagram, and cofounders.com is their organization. You know how we have the Agent Collective? Hers is called Co-Founders. I'm actually coaching one of her downline, and they're like, yeah, they don't like, she goes, they like you, Ed, but they can't understand why we would pay you when we could get free coaching from them. And I was like, what can I say? And you guys all get me for free, so that's even better. So feel free to plug into that. Like, that's one of the things. I was talking to a recruit this morning, and I said, here are the reasons why you should consider it. And number 3 is the collaborative environment. And I'll tell you what I mean. You can talk to anybody in EXP, all 90,000 agents, and every single one of them will share anything and everything that they have if you ask. And I've asked a couple dozen times over the last year. Never once has anyone said, no, I'm not comfortable telling you that. No, they open the kimono and go, what do you want? I'll show you everything, right? Yeah, yeah. All right. Also on agent attraction, I want to walk you guys through a document that I created called Agent Attraction Is. You ready? So agent attraction is an awesome opportunity. It also can be problematic. So I wanted to set up some ground rules for agent attraction. So if you'll bear with me, and I am going to hand them out at the end, but I want you to pay attention. So rather than put something for you to read in front of you. So agent attraction is fun, it's rewarding, it's life-changing, and it creates generational wealth for you and your family if you choose. I had this conversation with my son yesterday, and like, one of you jackasses has to get a license. He's like, I know, Dad, I know. Yeah, yeah. We have that kind of love. So agent attraction can do all of these things if done right, right? And the key is, what does if done right mean? So these are our ground rules for agent attractions. We prioritize success, but we put fairness and respect ahead of success. Did you just leave? Where'd she go? Oh, here is what we mean. What? I know. I kind of feel like we should. All right, I'm going to come back to that. About agent, yeah.
Ed, can you go back to that last slide?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's like, it's not by accident either. I mean, makes us sound noble, right? But the fact of the matter is, Glenn Sanford was really, really smart. If you look at the percentages from your first, second through seventh levels, your second level actually pays a higher percentage than your first level. So what does that do? That creates an environment where I want to do everything I can to support Paul to recruit, because I make more money on the people he recruits, right? It sounds noble, but it also could be totally selfish, right? But it's just smart of them to say, you know what? If Ed brings on somebody that has an interest in growing their organization, we should incentivize Ed to help that or support that, right? And so they set up the economics so that that would happen whether you liked it or not, right?
I think they call it cooperation.
Exactly, exactly. That's the first level is 3.5. The highest one is the seventh level. So aim for that, right? And remember, to unlock the seventh level, you have to sponsor 40 people that have sold a home in the last 6 months. Well, not 100% of the people you recruit are going to have that. So I can tell you personally, I'm setting sail for 100 people that I sponsor so that I hit 40. And after Cabo, Stacy and I were talking, I'm like, maybe it should be 200. I don't know, right? Because, you know, this gal is not on the team. She's never been with EXP. She sold 20 homes one year and none the next. And that's just how real estate can be, right? If you have an illness in the family, or yourself are ill, or a death, or your marriage is suffering, or whatever, selling houses goes and takes a back seat, right? And it should. Like, you should prioritize your family. But then you end up going from 20 to none if that happens. So, what do they say? Aim for the stars and hit the moon or something like that. All right. So back to the ground rules of agent attraction. It's important that we can unlock all these awesome things if we do it the right way, right? So what does doing it the right way mean? Well, number one, we prioritize success, but we put fairness and respect ahead of that success. It doesn't matter if I'm stepping on people on my way to achieving my goals, right? I'm never going to build anything of any significance if I approach it that way. And none of you should either, right? Because together we can sure as heck accomplish a lot more, right? If we're all rowing in the same direction. Here's what I mean. We attract credible, ethical, and productive real estate professionals who are aligned with eXp Realty's culture and core values by pledging to, number one, we never incentivize, poach, interfere, or attempt to entice another agent's prospects to name me as their sponsor. If, like, one of the first questions I always ask is, have you heard of eXp? And most people have. Great. Why didn't you sign up? Well, I didn't like the fact that they don't have offices or whatever, right? They're gonna respond. If they say, yeah, I just met with so-and-so last week and I've been talking to them, I want us all philosophically to be encouraging them to sign up under that person, not under you. And I know it takes a little selflessness to do that, right? But the fact of the matter is we want eXp as a company to continue to grow and to blossom and to not have a perception in the marketplace that we're all infighting over sponsoring people, right? That's why having the second level structured the way it was makes it easy to say, you and I are never going to fight over somebody, or Paul and Bailey are never going to fight over somebody. We both want her, or we both want him. Let's work together to make that happen. Does that make sense? All right. We always encourage prospective eXp Realty agents to be loyal to and identify their sponsor as the eXp Realty agent and broker who introduced them to and most influenced them to join the company. Patrick understood that one before he even signed up, so good job. We always express a team before self mentality by offering a helping hand to fellow agents, knowing that I am part of an amazing company and team, and that I and all the other agents play a key role in the long-term success and sustainability of eXp. Every time I move Tina, my clicker stops working. We always exemplify lofty eXp standards of ethical business practice and culture by subscribing to the highest level of integrity and professionalism in my personal and professional life, and by embodying the 9 core values of eXp. We will never imply that someone is assured to make money by simply joining. How many of you have any struggles with any of that? Are you all, what's that? What was number 2? Always encourage prospective eXp agents to be loyal to identify their sponsors as the eXp agent or broker who introduced them to and most influenced them to join. So does anyone have any struggle or difficulty with this? You're allowed to have a question, because I'm going to ask you all to. Right on.
Going, is it ethical to say, hey, I'd love to be your sponsor, but you better actually.
You can totally say that. Is that your desire? Right.
Is that?
No, we've been friends for like 15 years.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
I'm saying that
She's just being strategic, right? This is different than the pledge.
You're playing, you're down.
Exactly. That's a strategic decision, right? Like you should give that kind of thought to when you bring somebody on where you want to place them. And the cool thing is, I mean, Tim's not necessarily going to sell a bunch of houses, but she can explain it to, or I'll use Paul and Bailey and Patrick as a better example. Patrick knows that he gets all the training and support from the team and from me personally, whether Bailey's his sponsor, Paul's his sponsor, or even if I were his sponsor, right? None of that matters because you get access just like everybody else gets access. And that hopefully is a benefit that you can sell to people, right? I mean, I've had hundreds of conversations with realtors and other companies that are just shocked that I do success hours 5 days a week. They're like, I can't even get access to my broker and you're available every day. Holy cow, right? So great question. Is everyone willing to pledge this? Right on. Yeah.
Somebody. Everybody I can sponsor.
There's different philosophies for it, and you guys should all just think about, number one is this even a goal, right? When we do an agent attraction topic each month, I know that a percentage of the room is tuning out because it's just not a focus, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? What ends up happening is the light bulb goes on at different times for different people. I don't know if you were within earshot, but we were in that pool, the adult pool, right? And that guy came walking over to me. He's been with EXP for 4 years. The light bulb didn't go on for him until this Cabo trip. That day. That's right. Right? And that's okay. Like, if you're not selling a bunch of houses, you should focus on selling a bunch of houses, right? Because we need to make income. But the cool thing is, while you're selling houses, guess who you're meeting? Other agents, right? I'm going to deliver keys today for a buyer up in Everett. I texted the agent to thank him and congratulate him and said, by the way, we're having a mastermind on April 26th. Love to see you there. Guess what the mastermind's motive is? Agent attraction, right? So think about what your plan and your goal is. And then back to Scott's point is decide what your strategy is going to be. I'm more of a sponsor anybody and everybody and go as wide as you can because I fully intend on having 7 levels. And I don't want to run the risk of not having 40 qualified agents. So if I have to have 200 to have 40, I'm cool with that. But at the same time, if Scott says, we met them both at the same time, is it okay if I sponsor them? Absolutely. Like I don't cling to anybody, but I recruit everybody, if that makes sense, right? I mean, how many times we meet at Vina Bella? Quite a few. It's good though. We need to keep doing that. Just because you're now here doesn't mean we should stop enjoying each other's company. But it's really, really important to me that we do all of this in a respectful way, right? Because it doesn't look good for the company to have people bickering. If I didn't get one, shoot me an email. Right.
And I was just thinking,
Right.
we're kind of like the gatekeepers of topic on this. A way of
Totally.
like Zoom calls.
Hey guys, listen to this. This is important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's good.
Beyond this, and. I'm really-
Yeah,
This is not genuine.
it's contrived. Yeah,
And it's just,
yeah.
so,
And people see right through that, right? And that, I'm glad you said that, because I want all of you to know that's my philosophy is give away great training, have people who are at other firms go, wow, I don't get this at my firm, and then have a conversation to see if they're a good fit. Right? So all of you should invite people to this meeting once a month, to success hours every day if you want, to the masterminds that we do once a month. That's why we're doing them. That's why I'm doing them. I say we because the mastermind is Troy Anderson, who many of you have met. You know Troy, right? Yeah. So Troy and I put on a mastermind every month at the Woodinville Village Wine place. Imagine that. Again, wine seems to be the centerpiece. Maybe I have a problem. I'm looking at you because you're the cause of it. If no, I'm kidding. I need to go to Saints and Scholars more to drink more beer instead of wine. That'll balance it out, right? All right. Thank you all for indulging me. Adrian, I promise to give you 5 minutes if you some of these people have never met you, so if you want to give the elevator pitch.
Financial, just to kind of give you some. Full trust. Big things. So the challenge. Office space or direct costs, not getting added to the clients. That is. Big challenge. These. These all makes that less. They have the same fixed overhead, so that just keeps getting added on top of the rate that we offer. So we made a change. Team. Just reach out if you guys have questions. I have questions. Is less than my father can say $8,000. Just taking the time to look at somebody's situation. Just remember that there's a lot of. Take the time to do that, it might be more money. Well, they can choose kind of a lower rate, but that rate has a different cost associated with it. Go up slightly and rate, say $8,000 and insurance. Just know that, the programs out there, you guys can expect that. Based in downtown Brooklyn, 15 states, 5% less than 5 states, so, yeah, people relocated somewhere down the west coast. California, Oregon, Arizona.
Not Nevada.
Not that.
Amber and I just tried to refer him a client.
Now, the blue bubble doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, you have-
Cool.
And for all you, if you have it, more, we can make a lot of money. So we have to buy the two, so I know we can pay for that, but I have to see it on the side of funds to us, so. We have like, have really good, touch with Adrian and the lunch and stuff, but we making so much more money on top of what we're already. Doing.
Yeah, a lot of your don't understand it. But it-
Screw it up. I'll describe it in 30 seconds, then we'll move on, because this training's not about that. But we'll do a separate training so everyone knows exactly what we're talking about is when you show a listing, if you represent a buyer, the seller may be offering 3%, 2.5%, 2%. I've seen them as low as 0.5%. We have a method so that you can get paid up to 4%, regardless of what they're offering. And so there's an ability and contract things that we do to make it work. And I've done it hundreds of times with Adrian, but the key component is you got to work with a lender that knows what they're doing. I will point out that she's only sold 3 houses and you're in 2 houses in her entire career, and she already did it successfully on one of them. So don't be intimidated by it. I'm secretive about it only because it's proprietary. And so we will cover it on an internal training and make sure that you guys all have the same opportunity to get paid what you're worth. Okay?
Very much worth it, I just need an extra.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We haven't plugged that yet. Cool. Did you CC Amber? Yeah. I'll put it on the screen before we finish today. Because Amber and I took a listing live yesterday, 1.5 million, 100 feet of Puget Sound waterfront in Shelton on Harstein Island. Gorgeous 4,800 plus square foot house with complete mother-in-law, full gourmet kitchen in the basement for the mother-in-law, 2 bedrooms and a kitchen on the basement level, master suite and an even bigger and better kitchen on the main floor, plus another, you can use it as a bedroom, that's how they use it, but it's loft, so it's open to the lower floor. Just a really nice house. And Amber's gonna hold it open tomorrow. Hopefully won't hold it open the following weekend because it'll be sold, but as I was explaining to the owner this morning, I said, because I sent an email to her lender in Reno, or her builder in Reno, and said, here's the comps, we hope it sells quickly. It's a lovely and unique house. And Mary was like, I was kind of crestfallen when I saw unique. And I said, I'm not saying that to discourage you. I'm just letting them know that, the buyer pool for a 5,000 square foot house, it took me 3 hours to drive there the first time, right? So it's out there, and there's just not a lot of people that want that, right? So we just want people to be realistic, not discouraging, realistic. Yeah. So we only,
Anybody wants to hear more about this, software, we're always. You guys know what job it does. People in the already view, but because that happens, people definitely you promote your own business and keep your business up to date with the fact that you're part of a team that's just acting on a team that's industry, so if anybody's interested in taking advantage of, you know, any success and take software, we can let us know the difference, know if you're interested in and getting some more traction within their own.
so we are going to skip the market discussion because we only have the room for 5 more minutes. And that includes, hopefully some of you will help me break down the tables and chairs and put them back to the back of the room. But I want you to shoot a picture of this. This is the information for the mastermind on April 26th. It'll be at the same location that we had the last one, which is the Village Wine Shop in Woodinville. And invite as many people as you want. Sure. Yeah, give me the heads up though, so I can make sure they feel welcome. I will send this actually, yes, but I will send this out to you guys as well. Top producer dinner and top attractor. Paul Kim, top producer for March. Kathy He was the top attractor for March with just one attraction. So I can already tell April, we're gonna have more than that. So keep it going, good job. Next training is May 5th. Does anyone have a problem or a different topic other than what I said earlier, which is the next logical step is you've converted a lead, now how do you take great care of them if they're a buyer? No, showing houses and writing offers and all that. Sellers, yeah. Tina, thanks for joining us. We're signing off. Have an awesome day.